Killer Instinct has always been a killer game and then a franchise, ever since its arcade days in 1994. It has undergone several iterations over the years, the most significant of which happened in 2013 because it brought the game back from the 90s with a modern touch. The game has been praised heavily for its interesting characters, brilliant combinations, and creativity in gameplay mechanics. In this video, we discuss the top 12 most powerful and dangerous fighters from the Killer Instinct franchise. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Jago is a very interesting character who is a powerful Tibetan warrior monk, wearing a masked ninja costume in earlier versions of the games. He was abandoned as a baby and raised by monks who worshipped the Tiger Spirit. With the blessing of the Tiger Spirit, Jago is able to defeat Ultratech in the first Killer Instinct tournament. But in Killer Instinct 2, Jago was betrayed by this very Tiger Spirit who was actually the demon Gargos all along, and was manipulating Jago to enter the physical world. Thus, when one of Jago's main missions is to gain revenge from Gargos, Jago tries to get rid of Gargos' influence inside him and attempts to banish it by fighting extremely strong opponents. He is generally quite stoic, not succumbing to his emotions. His long-lost sister, Orchid, is the only person with whom Jago has a meaningful connection. However, Jago breaks his discipline and gives it to Omen, Gargos' proud servant, who possesses him and transforms him into Shadow Jago, who is basically a merciless monster. In due time, Jago is able to banish Omen from his body. As a playable character, Jago is quite balanced, a jack of all trades, with the ability to execute quick strikes, as well as special attacks like Tiger Fury and the projectile Endokuken, while also having the best meter gain in the games. In the Killer Instinct reboot of 2013, Jago's looks evolve into a form that becomes more detailed with respect to his connection with the Tiger Spirit, looking more like a monk than a ninja. Saberwolf, originally known as Cyberwolf, is an iconic character. He was originally a wealthy man from Germany who was afflicted with disease, lycanthropy, that turned him into a werewolf. Thus, Saberwolf desperately wants to find a remedy for this condition before he is completely taken over by the beast within him. He is promised a cure by Ultratech if he succeeds in the Killer Instinct tournament, but he was driven insane due to experimentation with cybernetic arms, as well as various scientific and spiritual methods. But later on, Saberwolf is successfully able to escape and tear out his mechanical implants, even healing his damaged body parts. In the reboot of 2013, it is revealed that Saberwolf cut himself on a werewolf's claw trophy while he was drunk. Thus, he inherited this werewolf curse. Saberwolf is famous for quick and aggressive melee gameplay, which includes slashes and powerful biting moves. His speed and overall ferocity compensate for his lack of projectiles. Overall, Saberwolf represents a tortured soul with unique and creative designs that makes him the celebrated character that he is. Orchid is one of the key protagonists in the franchise who was originally a young enigmatic secret agent, trying to infiltrate Ultratech in order to investigate mysterious disappearances related to the Killer Instinct tournament. Jago was revealed to be her younger brother. After defeating Ultratech, she destroys the final boss of the first game, sending Ultratech 2,000 years in the past. One of her main missions is to destroy Gargos and find a way home in order to begin afresh. When she was young, Orchid gained a unique ability called the Firecat, the manifestation of her spirit animal. In the 2013 reboot, her backstory is revealed further. Her father Jacob was a SEAL Team 6 member, after whose assassination by Ultratech she joined the Special Warfare Department in order to find terrorist activities related to Ultratech. After her cover is blown and she is framed, Orchid establishes an underground spy group in opposition to Ultratech and calls it Disavowed. Ultimately, she is forced to join the Arya Alliance to be able to stop Gargos as he was too powerful to be defeated single-handedly. The character of Orchid has been appreciated well by fans, often being called the First Lady of fighting game. There has been some criticism, however, over the objectification of her character. Rash is somewhat of a unique crossover character in Killer Instinct because he is derived from another cult classic known as Battletoads, wherein Rash is one of the three protagonists. This game serves as an interesting fusion of warm-hearted nostalgia and at the time modern-day gameplay, and is notoriously difficult as well. By inserting Rash into Killer Instincts, game developers combine two distinct eras of gaming, strategically weaving together different universes. Rash retains most of his appearance from Battletoads and is capable of executing powerful melee attacks. He can also transform parts of his body into oversized weapons, such as big boots or spiked knuckles. Apart from using his long tongue that Rash can use to grab or hold on to things, Rash is quite funny yet edgy and cocky, often breaking the fourth wall with the gamer, rendering him a character of comic relief. As a character in the Killer Instinct games, Rash is very versatile and suitable for both beginners and pros who are in search of strategic depth. Gore. Gore is a high-tech, heavy assault cyborg soldier developed by Ultratech, who happens to be one of the most legendary characters of the Killer Instinct franchise. In the first game, he was the penultimate boss before the player faced Idol. He is also available as a playable character. Gore has been designed intentionally to look like a knight in order to help gain trust. In the first game, a prototype of Gore entered in the Killer Instinct tournament, which was destroyed by Jago. In the second game, an enhanced and upgraded Gore model was made whose goal was to kill Jago, but he was successfully defeated by Jago and his sister Orchid. A third Gore model is seen in the 2013 reboot, which helps Ultratech defend itself. However, at this point, Gore begins to develop some self-awareness and somewhat defy his programming, specifically due to the residual memories of the Native American warrior Eagle, the mind whose blueprint was used to create Gore's neural network. Gore is iconic in the Killer Instinct and is especially recognized for his balance in agility and strength. He has retractable blades, which form the core of his attack, as well as there being energy or plasma-based attacks. Gore reactor core charges as it fights, enabling it to execute even more powerful moves and combos. His finishing move, Devastation Beam / No Mercy, is capable of immense destruction. Gore is now considered one of the mascots of the Killer Instinct franchise. Sadira. Sadira is the first female assassin in the Killer Instinct franchise, whose allegiance lies with Ultratech. Sadira was also the first original character introduced in the 2013 reboot, without having any prior history. She was born in a refugee camp on the Thai border, and trained in ancient Thai martial arts, developing a liking for violence. Sadira is impulsive in behavior, and considers herself better than others. Sadira is known to be agile and acrobatic, and wears a white mask, with her having spider-themed abilities, like being able to use webs for offensive and defensive purposes. She led the Red Eyes of Rylai until Ultratech became aware of her and recruited her under the Arya group. Sadira tries to steal Glacius's DNA and fold the core to open a rift to another dimension. However, Canra is able to steal the powerful core from her. Sadira is almost mortally injured after an attack by the flammable Cinder, who was ordered to eliminate her by the Arya for her failures. Now wanting revenge on Arya, she is visited by Gargos' servant, Omen, who gives her the offer to join Gargos' forces. Sadira's gameplay is based on using blades and webs, as well as on aerial juggle combos. Her fighting style and the mystery surrounding her make her an interesting and deep addition to the rebooted Killer Instinct universe. Gargos. Gargos is an extremely evil and cunning demigod who is among the main antagonists in the entire Killer Instinct franchise. He has very strong ties to Jago, and although not featured in every game, he and his influences are always mentioned. He is also the eternal rival of the demonic warlord Idol. Gargos is a demonic figure with wings, claws, and the ability to control dark and chaotic energy. He also manipulates lesser beings for his own evil purposes, being a shadow lord himself. He was the tiger spirit who successfully manipulated Jago and led him to the first Killer Instinct tournament. When Jago discovers this, he attempts to purge the remnants of Gargos' influence from inside him. When Omen, Gargos' servant, possesses Jago, he turns into Shadow Jago, a potential host body for Gargos. However, through sheer will, Jago is able to force Omen out. His agenda is to merge Earth with the astral plane, making him the unopposed leader. He hopes to achieve this by weakening the barriers among planes, by sowing chaos and using servants like Omen to execute his plans. Gargos is one of the most formidable adversaries out there. His dark and evil presence, overarching influence, and challenging combat mechanics make him an unforgettable villain. Cinder, originally Ben Ferris, a convicted criminal, is one of the most recognizable fighters in the Killer Instinct universe, and is a humanoid composed entirely of flames whose body emanates an intense amount of heat. Ben Ferris was subjected to an experiment by Ultratech, which went wrong, turning Ben's body into a living flame. Ultratech then promised him that if he wins the Killer Instinct tournament, they would return Cinder to his original form. The 2013 reboot changes the story a bit, wherein Ben is a freelance mercenary who tries to steal from Ultratech, but gets caught, and his punishment must serve as a bit for an experiment with a volatile alien gel, a process which transforms Ben into Cinder. The more Cinder begins to learn about Ultratech's true intentions, the more questioning he becomes about his own loyalties and the cost of his transformation. In the original game, Cinder was quite overpowered with his attacks. His infinite combo move became very problematic as it generated bugs. Ultimately though, Cinder is defeated in battle and killed by Glacius in the original Killer Instinct. This however was retconned for the 2013 reboot. Hisako. Hisako is based on vengeful spirits from Japanese folklore and traditional Japanese horror. She is hell-bent on seeking vengeance on those who have disturbed her rest, Ultratech. She travels all the way across the world and manages to defeat Arya, but when she was about to rest, she was called on to be the savior of the world. Hisako's fighting abilities with the Naginata are retained from her previous life. She is very ferocious and capable of expert counterattacks. As a ghost, she can teleport as well as possess her opponents and contort their body. Hisako moves slowly and is described as a defensive fighter. Hisako was once born as Chiharu about 450 years ago, whose father, a former samurai, was killed by a band of renegade soldiers while trying to protect his village. Chiharu took her father's weapon and killed many troops, but ultimately died as well. Seeing this, the villagers were inspired and managed to drive the troops away. Later on, they constructed a shrine in her honor. Hisako uses a wrath meter, giving her attacks the added effect of being counter hits, despite the opponent not attacking. A version of Hisako, Shin Hisako, was introduced with the ability to summon projectile spirits. Overall, Hisako stands out as an interesting and culturally deep character. The tragic nature of her backstory as well as her unbreakable will for taking revenge is also highlighted. Idol. Idol is the final boss in the first game. He is a huge and frightening creature having two distinct heads, or one head cleaved into two halves, each with a single evil red eye. He was once a human warrior chosen to be among the watchmen of the gods. Idol had defended the earth from the invasion of Gargos, stealing some of his powers and sending him back to the astral plane. Because of this, Idol became revered by humans and was crowned as king, but the astral energy ended up corrupting him. He lost control over himself and then, by accessing absolute power, became absolutely corrupted, killing most ancient heroes of the world who tried to stop him. As a result, he was banished to the astral realm, thanks to the actions of an immortal warrior. There, Idol was finally killed at the hands of the other terrible demon, Gargos. However, thanks to the arch-sorcerer Canra, Idol was reanimated once more, but he turned on Canra immediately, seeking one and only thing: merciless vengeance against Gargos. And to achieve this, it will destroy everything in its path. Idol has a striking appearance and a rich lore, and his journey from being the ultimate antagonist in the first game to a deeper, more layered character with detailed design in the reboot is interesting to watch. Thunder. Thunder is a traditional Native American warrior whose goal is to uncover the mystery behind the disappearance of his younger brother, Eagle, who vanished after the previous year's Killer Instinct tournament. Thunder suspects that Ultratech has a hand in his brother's disappearance, and thus enters the tournament to investigate things. In the rebooted universe, Thunder's lore gets even richer, where we find out that Eagle was a potential whistleblower against Ultratech's operations. Thunder believes that this was the cause of his disappearance and thus seeks answers. The loss of his brother made Thunder lonely, and thus he used to seek out a life of solitude by embracing his tribe's heritage and spirituality. Thunder's connection to the spiritual world makes him an interesting character that is definitely a force of nature. Thunder's backstory is complete with themes such as justice, family, and spirituality, and that has made him a representative character of the Killer Instinct universe. His mission to find his brother is one of the more compelling narratives in the Killer Instinct story. Agonos. Agonos is an ancient war golem originating in Mycenaean Greece and the largest character in the Killer Instinct series, which has the ability to gather natural resources into his own body, thereby changing its strength and degrees of freedom. It can also use these resources as barriers or projectiles. Agonos was originally composed of bronze, but after many years it has been partially replaced with stones, bushes, and vines. It has a limited personality, but is incredibly loyal. Agonos has huge height and weight, as well as incredible strength. Besides its hard armor, it has many boulders and stones on its body, which it can use as projectiles, large defensive walls, or gigantic clubs. Agonos is the last of a legendary line of war golems, and its lore is rich, being thousands of years old. All of the masters he has obeyed have ordered it to kill or destroy. The recent history of Agonos begins with one Babylonian king who restored his eye, gave it its name, which means a gentle person, and taught it the ways of kindness, hoping it would overcome its violent nature. This king did not want Agonos to mercilessly kill, but to learn and to think. Canra, the vizier of the king, betrays him, and his dying orders are for Agonos to pursue Canra, defeat him, and then be free forever. Agonos has been chasing Canra for over many centuries, but they still have not been able to destroy one another. He and Thunder empathize with each other and agree to help each other in their respective quests, finding Canra and Eagle. Marvelous verdict. The positive verdict on Killer Instinct relies on various considerations. Its combination system was unique and could be strung a long way, which allowed for a lot of variety of fights. The interesting characters were as appealing as the delightful visuals and sound, quite top-notch for their time. Its cultural impact is significant, and although not enjoying as large a fan base as Street Fighter or Tekken, it still maintains a loyal and competitive following, which is only increased after the 2013 reboot. Hope all of you retain your killer instincts, and see you in the next Marvelous video. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.